It's Friday, February 20th, 2026. Welcome to episode 192 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, City Council addresses police statistics and the homeless issue, a preview of next week's Planning Board meeting, AUSD averts a strike, our naval history in the present day, the latest real estate sales, and Beer Week tops the list of events. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story, City Council on Tuesday reviewed Police Auditor Dr. Lee Grossman's high-level overview of the Alameda Police Department activity in 2025. Let's take a look at the highlights. Internal affairs cases rose approximately 70% compared to 2024, attributed largely to supervisors taking a more proactive approach to documenting allegations. Of 59 cases, 48 were closed, and 9 included at least one sustained allegation involving issues such as firearm safety, unsatisfactory work product, conduct toward others, and body-worn camera activation. Disciplinary actions ranged from counseling and training to suspension. Use of force reporting showed a 67% decrease in weapon display incidents, but a 54% increase in low-level force, primarily control holds, which accounted for 76% of all force incidents. Traffic stops increased by 89% in 2025. Roughly half of those stops resulted in citations and half in warnings, with outcomes generally consistent across racial groups. Notably, only 36% of those receiving citations or warnings were actual Alameda residents. Felony arrests increased 56%, misdemeanors up 28%, driven largely by theft and shoplifting enforcement in business districts. Community satisfaction surveys showed generally strong ratings, around 4.5 out of 5. Sworn staffing remains 25% below authorized levels and currently frozen at 72 officers. Council unanimously accepted the report. In other business, Housing and Human Services Manager Simone Falls presented 3 related contract approvals aimed at continuing and strengthening Alameda's homeless services system. First, an agreement with Alameda Family Services to continue providing on-site therapeutic services at Dignity Village, the Emergency Supportive Housing Program, and the Day Center Safe Parking Program. Secondly, for emergency supportive housing, staff recommended Ruby's Place, also known as Restorative Pathways, an organization with more than 55 years of experience serving families, single adults, and transitional age youth, and operating contracts with Alameda County and City of Hayward. Finally, for the Day Center, Safe Parking, and Overnight Emergency Shelter, staff recommended Urban Alchemy, which has experience operating low-barrier programs, including safe parking, tiny home sites, and emergency shelters in Alameda County and other jurisdictions. The contracts for Alameda Family Services and Restorative Pathways were approved unanimously. Urban Alchemy's contract was approved on a 4-1 vote, with Councilmember Tracy Jensen voting no, in the wake of concerns about lawsuits, including a class action lawsuit alleging labor violations and media reports of alleged budget overspending in San Francisco. Urban Alchemy addressed those concerns, saying the reporting by the San Francisco Chronicle was inaccurate and had in fact been corrected. In addition, one lawsuit was dismissed, another settled, with internal controls relating to payroll and timekeeping greatly strengthened. Council also ratified revised salary schedules for the City Council-appointed positions of City Manager and City Attorney to ensure compliance with California Public Employees Retirement System requirements. Karen Jensen has the full story at alamedapost.com/news. Karen's also keeping an eye on the Planning Board. In Monday's upcoming meeting, the board will review the 2025 annual updates on the city's housing, transportation, and climate action plans. They will also hold a public hearing to review Park Station's use permit. Highlights of the annual reports in housing, in addition to new planning entitlements and streamlining the ADU process, a new express permit track streamlined roughly 60% of routine permits, reducing review times by up to 30 days. In transportation, construction of the Pacific Avenue Neighborhood Greenway, new Central Avenue roundabouts, sidewalk repairs at 8,000 locations, and deployment of a mobile parking payment system. In 2026, the Cross Alameda Trail will be completed, and the Oakland Alameda Access Project will begin construction. The required 6-month review of Park Station's use permit focuses on the permit's allowance for outdoor seating and live outdoor music. The original 2023 approval permitted outdoor music up to 3 days a month, with a maximum sound level of 85 dBA. During the review period, code enforcement recorded 2 instances in which outdoor music exceeded the 85 dBA limit. One of those events also exceeded the permitted hours. Complaints were received from nearby locations. Staff observed that drums were the primary source of the excessive noise. Park Station looking to increase to 10 outdoor live music events per month, extending the hours to 9 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, adding Sunday 2 to 7, and increasing the noise limit to 90 dBA. City staff has counted with maintaining the current patio operating hours, retaining the 85 dBA limit while allowing outdoor music from 4 to 9 on Friday and 2 to 9 on Saturday, with no monthly cap, but limiting performances to 3 hours per day, plus 1 hour for sound checks with drum dampeners and the installation of a professional sound meter. 3 verified violations would trigger a planning board review. For a full preview of the meeting, including ways you can make your voice heard, see Karen Jensen's article at alamedapost.com/news. Friday afternoon, the Alameda Unified School District released a statement declaring it had reached a tentative agreement with the Alameda Education Association following a third mediation session on February 11th. The bargaining team agreed on all contract articles, including salary and benefits. The new agreement, a 10% salary increase plus a 2% bonus over the next 3 years with yearly increases as follows. In 2025-26, a 6% increase comprised of a 4% ongoing raise, of which 3% is retroactive to July 1st of 25, 1% retroactive to January 1st of 26, a 2% one-time bonus. In 26-27, a 3% ongoing raise. In 27-28, a guaranteed 3% ongoing raise. If cost of living adjustment is between 3 and 3.99%, members will receive that amount in a raise. If cost of living goes above 4%, the two teams will reopen negotiations. AUSD contributions to employee health plans will increase, and the two teams agreed on 14 articles related to recognition, leaves, professional dues, work hours, evaluation, unit member safety, secondary department chairs, association rights, class size, transfer, salary, health and welfare, adult school, special education, and stipends. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Our naval history in the news again. Once again, the ongoing cleanup issues at Alameda Point have resurfaced. At the heart of the latest, radium-226, the material used to make luminescent instrument dials. Since 2019, the Navy has not been able to determine what the cleanup goal is for radium-226. Repeated attempts by the Navy to get an answer suggest that the new California Department of Public Health standard is based upon the location of the site rather than the risk to human health. Radium, a naturally occurring element found in soil that varies in amount from place to place, but as mentioned, there's also the matter of the instrument dial paint. The main crux of the problem is the old safety concept of there are no toxic substances, only toxic amounts. Essentially, what defines cleaned up? Richard Bangert takes a detailed look at the issue. Story at alamedapost.com/news. Another story of past meets present. USS Hornet volunteer Mal Sloan found a 1966 class ring in an area of the ship that had been closed since 1970. The ring said Briarcliff High School, a former high school in Metro Atlanta. The ring also contained the initials JSR. ABC 7 TV News picked up the story. Alameda resident Greg Helms, a Briarcliff alumni, saw the story, brought the news to an alumni Facebook group. It was discovered that the ring belonged to John Scott Reeves, an aviation maintenance person who worked in that area of the ship. Reeves passed away in 2008, but arrangements are now being made to return the ring to Reeves' brother. Story at alamedapost.com/news. Latest real estate sales from February 3rd through the 16th. 10 homes sold, 6 on the main island, 4 on Bay Farm. 2 cash deals, 8 conventional loans, prices ranging from $800,000 to $2.5 million. Average time to listing to offer, 43 days, although that number is skewed by a 292-day property. Throw that out. The number settles to just over 2 weeks. Full details with Liz Rush at alamedapost.com/real-estate. SF Beer Week begins today, Friday. So big, the week is actually 10 days long. Our local brewers and tap rooms well involved. Trying to untangle the massive events can be a bit confusing, but Amanda Laird's already done that for you in her weekly all-around Alameda column. Admiral Maltings has multiple food and beer events. Alameda Brewing hosting a film festival. Pinball and Pints at the Pacific Pinball Museum. Bay Area and Sacramento Brews at Park Station. Ocean Optimism at Faction, and a petting zoo at Almanac are just some of the highlights. Full details at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. Don't forget, school's back in session on Monday. Keep an eye on the roadways. Speaking of the young ones, registration now open for ARPD summer activities. Head to the city's website for details. Hope you can join me Sunday morning at 8 on KCSM HD2 for the latest episode of the Alameda Connection. My guest will be Dave Smith, head distiller at St. George Spirits. If you don't have an HD radio, you can stream the show from kcsm.org. Find the Alameda Post on all the social media platforms, now including TikTok. You can subscribe to us on Apple News. Sign up for our weekly news digest at alamedapost.com/email-digest. Get the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler. Next week, a special edition of the Postcast, a rebroadcast of my Alameda Connection interview with Post publisher Adam Gillett. The Postcast returns to its regular format with episode 193 in 2 weeks on Friday, March 6. Talk to you then.